Welcome back, guys. In this video we are going to show you the replacement part for this bracket that retains your DPF to the side of your gearbox. This is a very common failure point, and we have developed a new bracket to replace this one that's holding in my hands, which is actually in 3 pieces, a bit that is not here right now. It prevents these from breaking and then causing your DPF and your catalytic converter to snap. So let's go in, we'll have a look at the video and go over exactly how we're going to fit up the new bracket and why it's going to make it substantially stronger than this poor little fellow right here. Welcome back to Colorado Mufflers. Today we're working on a Trailblazer. This video is going to be the same for any of you guys with a D-Max or a Colorado. They have 2 brackets, one at the front, one at the rear to support and hold the DPF, and they have a bad habit of shaking and vibrating and destroying those brackets. We manufacture an upgraded bracket that goes in the front of it that is considerably more heavy duty than the factory one. So I'm going to show you how that fits up, and we're going to repair the rear bracket on this thing today. This is our front bracket. Now this one is already broken. There's normally a strap that goes around the pipework here for the DPF, bolts up here. Now they're a little bit of a difficult thing to get off. You've got this small relief here. Over the top we have 2 bolts retaining it back to the bell housing itself. Now they are different between automatic and manual. We have an automatic today, but the manual is the same principle and fit up. If you want to make your life particularly easy, cut this fellow and then you can access the bolts, because they are virtually impossible to get to. Tech tip of the day. Now this is our new bracket that we're going to be putting back in here. It is 5mm steel versus this guy. It does look pretty substantial, but he's just not enough. So that's going to go back up in there. And then we're going to have another bracket that we weld to the DPF, and it's going to bolt back through here. Just thought I'd go over this on the bench so you see exactly what you get and how it all works. This is the replacement bracket that goes up to the bell housing of your gearbox. And then this bracket here is going to be the replacement one that goes over to the DPF itself. Now this is a weld-on bracket. There is no better way of doing it than welding this to it. As you can see, it's a heavy-duty 5mm piece of steel. You're going to have your bolts to go with that. You're going to bolt this one up to your bell housing. We're using a nylock nut and a washer to go up to the bell housing. And then where this piece here, once it's bolted on and this goes on, it's simply got these bolts to go through it with nylocks on the back side again. With all that installed and sitting in a neutral position, no weight on it at all, we're going to weld around here, and this piece here is actually going to go back to the main weld that goes around the DPF. It's going to give us the most strength we can possibly get and not have this assembly break in the future. So the bracket goes up nice and easily. Same boltings, nothing new there. We are going to use a flat washer and a nylock instead of the normal bolt that came with it from the factory. We're just trying to eliminate any more issues due to vibrations. We're just going to prep that surface now for welding. That way we're not welding through rust and garbage. We've got a nice clean metal surface. That bit in, we're going to take our bracket and our new bolts, once again with nylock nuts. We're going to get that up in there. We'll bolt this together before welding. So they're just 2 13mm. Once again, like I said, nylocks. And you can see how this big heavy plate now sits on this weld for the DPF. And then you've got this bar that comes up the back side as well. So we're going to weld around here and through here and across here. And that's going to give us maximum strength. And we're actually supporting the true weight of the DPF now. We are welded in. So we've just done 2 bolts, bolted this back up to the factory location, bolted this fellow on here with the other 2 bolts, all supplied in the hardware kit, and we've welded it back to the DPF. And I made sure it definitely goes onto this welded section, because that's going to be the strongest part of it. Now, coming back to this hanger back here, this will also need to be welded, and we're just going to make up a piece of rod that mimics the way it was and weld it back to that location. Now, if you're doing this, you're better off replacing this bracket before any of this breaks. Don't wait until it all breaks and then do it. You're in for a lot more work. Plus, you can't quite see it right now, but up in the base of the DPF, that's the cat converter, that's the DPF, sorry. Up in the base of that cat converter, around the weld, these have a bad habit of breaking off around there, and this whole lot falls out of the car. If you do this system upgrade now, you won't be faced with that down the track. And trust me, it's going to happen. I see several cars a week with the same issue, and that's why we developed this bracket system, to prevent that from happening. It will fix a broken car, but the preventing it is mainly what we're looking at here. If you prevent it and get all this in here right now before your car has any issues, you won't have to address this thing back here either, and you won't have to weld up the base of your cat converter. Now that is just going to be better than factory. So it used to have these two bits that came up and curled around and in. We've just got a big piece of 12mm rod. It now braces itself from the tube back to the original support and back through that hanger mount. That'll replicate the rear. Like I say, if you get to the front of it first and prevent it from shaking itself to death, you will less likely have to replace the rear one. I'm not saying it's never going to happen. These things shake so bad. We don't know what's going to happen to them in 5 to 10 years. But for now, this is making a huge difference to the longevity of this assembly, and especially the catalytic converter and not tearing the base out of that. So get to it early and we'll get it fixed properly. All right guys, that is it for this video. Thank you very much for watching. We'll see you on the next one.